Hey everybody, today is February the 14th. I know I'm taping this really late and tomorrow is class, so I'm going to go ahead today and give you your assignments and get started on this module. We're only going to go through half the module today, and it is module 16. We're not moving into plants yet. I'm saving that till we're finished with this because it has a really cool project with it. A lab that requires that you go outside, and it's still kind of cold, so I don't think you're ready for that yet. Okay. Thank you all. Let me just start. Thank you all so much for praying for me and lifting me up. We expected this surgery to take, I was thinking maybe 4 weeks recovery, and it looks like it's about 8. So I'm 4 weeks in. I do feel a lot better. I had a few weeks there where the pain was so bad that I was taking pain medication every 4 hours for a couple weeks. It was really, really bad. And today it's not great. I'm only supposed to be sitting up for like an hour at a time, so I'm going to try to get your class done in less than an hour so I can get back on my side. I'm just not feeling good. So, but I feel better. I am doing much better, and I felt your prayers over us and our family. It's been a long road to hoe. Did not expect to do this right now, so had to be done. So anyway, we're going to skip the Kingdom Plantae for right now, and we're going to finish that after I get back. I'm thinking, not exactly sure yet. I don't know if I'll be back on March 1st or after spring break, so it may be after spring break. I go to the doctor this week, and we'll figure that out this week. So we're starting on module 16. We're going to talk about the Animalia. We're going to talk about animals, and the first section that we're going to talk about is reptiles, birds, and mammals. I love it. I think this section is a lot of fun. I think people associate it because they know these things. I really look forward for Christmas. My kids got a zoo membership, and so we get to go to the zoo a lot this year, and so a lot of this stuff is just really cool to know these things ahead of time. So I've got my drink here, I've got my book here, and let's hop in. We are on page 495, and ready, set, go. Okay, I'm going to try to, let me see if I can scoot this back a little bit. Prop my book up so I can see a little bit better. And it may require my glasses, I don't know. Okay. Class Reptilia. Okay, there are some, before we get started, I thought I had it. In your notes, in your little packet that I sent you with your tests and all that stuff, it says Module 16 in a class study guide. I want you to pull that out, and as you're reading this module, I want you to go through the study guide, and I want you to write down all the answers. This will count as part of your grade this time. It's a lot of fun. It's not your test, but it really helps you have a better understanding of Kingdom Animalia, animals, okay? So I think it's kind of cool. So I want you to do that. You can do it as we go through, you can probably do it as we go through the lecture even, but you don't have to. You just do it as you're reading if you want, so it doesn't matter. But it's really going to prepare you for the test. Okay. Class Reptilia. So we're talking about reptiles first. That's turtles, snakes, lizards, alligators, crocodiles, and even dinosaurs. What? Dinosaurs. So Class Reptilia have these common characteristics. They're all written there on page 495. They're covered in tough, dry scales. They're ectothermic. They breathe with lungs throughout their lives. They have a three-chambered heart with a ventricle that is partially divided. They produce amniotic eggs, feel covered with it's not like the shells like a bird's that you would see. It's leathery. It's like a thick skin. Most oviparous, some oviviparous. I hate that one. I mean, I hate to say all those words. They need to come up with a better way to say that. So, reptiles are covered with dry scales, and some people might think that reptiles are slimy. You know, when you think of snakes, you think of slimy snakes, slimy lizards, but they're really not. They're dry. They're not slimy at all. They are cold-blooded. Let's see. Oh, I couldn't read my own writing. The scales make sure in dry. This is what I wrote. I mean, you can't. Scales make sure in dry local the reptile doesn't lose water. So the scales make sure. I don't know what I was actually writing there. The scales make sure that the reptile doesn't lose the water that's inside of its body. The water doesn't evaporate like it does through our skin. We can be out in the heat for a long amount of time and we can dehydrate because we lose moisture through our skin. These do not because of the scales. They are ectothermic. That means that they have no internal organism that keeps them warm. We have our hypothalamus inside of our brain, and that regulates our temperature. It'll make us shiver to help warm us up if we're cold. It'll make us sweat if we're hot. So this is ectothermic. It doesn't have a self-regulating temperature. The scales are not living tissue. They molt. Remember how I told you the story about Big Mama? Big Mama molted all her skin. She's a arachnoid, but still. They breathe with lungs. Most adult amphibians have lungs, but their lungs are only one of the three possible means of respiration. Surprisingly enough, that they live in the water like snakes and sea turtles, they still breathe through their lungs. They just hold their breath for a long, long time. Fish have two-chambered hearts. Amphibians have three-chambered hearts, and reptiles have three-chambered hearts with ventricles that are partially divided. Now, look at this on page 496. You're looking at the amniotic egg of a reptile. Looks like it could also be for a bird. Anyway, it's an amniotic egg. So, this is on your test. Just saying. You might want to get to know this part really good. The bottom left says shell. Everybody knows what the shell is. Up to the top, we'll see, or let's go to the right. There's the albumin. This is the protein that protects the baby from antigens or bacteria or infection. It also keeps the egg from drying out. It's a boost of an immunity, if you will. A lot of times people need those proteins from inside there. So, you know, when you're looking to eat proteins, people say eat lots of eggs because these eggs have a very dense protein that's really good for your body. The yolk. The yolk is like a little sack. Everybody knows what an egg yolk looks like, right? To what you eat. It's a sack that gives the baby nutrients. Now, as the baby grows inside of this little sack here, as the baby grows inside, that yolk will disappear before the baby is born. Then you have the yolk sac. Basically, it just holds the yolk. When your mama's making you sunny side up eggs or turned over fried eggs, you know, you want to make sure that that yolk sac doesn't burst because people like to eat the yolk on the inside without it popping. The next is that dark purple circle, and that's the chorion. The chorion holds the amniotic yolk and all the allantois, but we're going to look at that in just a minute. This is like the outer part of where the yolk sac is, and it holds everything in place inside the little yolk sac area. The allantois is the blood flow that allows respiration and excretion. So this is blood flow that goes to the baby that pushes the excretions, that pushes all the waste away from where the baby is. Let's see. Fish and amphibians lay their eggs in the water. Okay. These eggs are kind of jelly-like. I'm sure you all have seen Nemo, Finding Nemo. And in Nemo, when she lays all of those eggs, they look like little jelly eggs. They look like caviar. That's what caviar is fish eggs. So, the white part of the egg is technically called the albumin. Remember I said that is the white part that contains all of that protein. And it's a really good thing to have. Like I said, the protein fights off a lot of diseases and it gives a lot of strength. And also, it contains some of those proteins that help boost your DNA. Okay. Now, let's see here. Let's go to page 498. We're looking at some members of Reptilia. There's an iguana. He's called a squamata. Now, in biology too, you're going to talk about squamous cells, but the word squam or squaw means squatty. Okay? It means short and low. So that's pretty good that the iguana is a big old lizard that's low to the ground. Geckos, squamata. Chameleons, squamata. You know, I've been watching a lot of TV lately. When you have to lay down, 20 out of 24 hours a day, you tend to watch a lot of TV. So I saw this thing the other day about chameleons. I've been watching these vet shows. Yeah, I know. It's been kind of crazy, but it's been so interesting. So chameleons are really jerks. So it says they're mean and they fight a lot and they're very aggressive. So I just thought that was kind of funny because I think they're kind of cute, but guess not. Now we're going over here. Look at that python. Isn't that crazy? That python is also squamata, down close to the earth, squatty. The scarlet snake, squamata. And just to note that the scarlet snake is not venomous, but look what it looks like, the next one there, the coral snake. The coral snake is one of the world's most venomous snakes there is, but the scarlet snake looks an awful lot like it, and that's a good protection for it. Let's see, the hawk-billed turtle is a testudine. Testudine means turtle. The tortoise is a testudine. It means it's got the big shell on it. You can hear my dog in the background. She's having one of her little...
She's freaking out over an orange.
Oh, don't give her an orange, please. Please do not give the dog an orange.
No.
I already gave her cotton candy today. She kind of plays with her food. She'll roll around and go "Arr!" and all this stuff before she even eats it. It's like she feels like she has to fight for it first. Then we have crocodilia. Crocodilia is a crocodile. Okay. So testudines are turtles and tortoises. Squamata are the things that are really close to the earth, like lizards and snakes. Crocodilia tend to be crocodiles and alligators. And then the rhino, I get this wrong every time I say rhino. It's Rhynchocephalia. That is another order, and that is primarily this reptile called a tuatara. That's kind of a cool name. It means spine bearer. The maximum it gets is about 30 inches long, and it usually just eats bugs. They're nocturnal. That's good to know if you're somewhere in New Zealand and you fall asleep, they're walking all around. The good part of the day, they'll bask in the sun near their home or a burrow in the sand. Why do they do that? Because they're ectothermic. They need their body to be warmed up. And the only way to do that is to get out and absorb some of that heat, okay? An interesting feature is that they have a third eye, but they can't see with the eye. So why in the world would God put a third eye on these tuataras? I mean, that's just kind of ugly, is it not? Well, it's called a parietal eye, and it senses light. It lets it know where the light is so that it can get to it to warm up if it needs to. That eye isn't useless. It does do the light censoring, but it's also connected to a nerve in the brain that triggers the sensation of light. So I think that's super cool. They live only on a few small islands in New Zealand. Now we're going to talk about lizards. Lizards have 2 pairs of limbs, 4 legs, while snakes have none. Lizards have ears and can hear, while snakes are deaf. Lizards have the same type of scales all over their body, while snakes have specialized scales on their bellies for locomotion. They're called scutes. Most lizards have eyelids and can close their eyes, and snakes do not have eyelids. Their eyes are always open because they have no eyelids. These differences allow us to determine what is a lizard and what is a snake. Now, I think it'd be pretty easy to figure that out, but sometimes there's some weird looking lizards that do look an awful lot like snakes. Okay, there's the iguana. Let's talk about lizards. There's the iguana. I always think of, every time I hear the word iguana, I always think of this song from the 80s called Mexican Radio. And it goes, I'm on a Mexican radio, oh, oh. And it says, I wish I was in Tijuana eating barbecued iguana. That's what I think about every time. So just join me in thinking about it. Google it. Google that song. Okay. It can reach 4 to 6 feet. No, thank you. Stay where you came from. Then there's the Komodo dragon. The Komodo dragons are really big and they can get up to 10 feet. Did you know that they can smell a drop of blood just like a shark almost 5 miles away? And they're on the land, not even on the water. Komodo dragons are super sensitive. They will rip your face out. Did you know that Komodo dragons, they have this slimy snot that like drips out of their mouth all the time, and that it's poison. So when they bite you, it's not that they have some kind of venom inside of their teeth. It's that they got all this venomous, slimy spit, and it gets all over you. When it gets inside the little wounds where they bite you, you're going to die, but you're probably going to die anyway because they're going to eat your face off. Okay, they did have a Komodo dragon at the Knoxville Zoo, and she died in January 2019, and her name was Khaleesi. And they say she was very sweet. They took the poison glands out of her jaws before they brought her into the zoo. So even if she did bite somebody, it wouldn't kill them. Maybe not until she ate your face off. Then just this year, we got a male Komodo from New York, the Bronx Zoo in New York City, and his name is Slim. And same thing, they took his slimy stuff out of his face so he won't eat your face off. But those are really big lizards, but most of the lizards are really small. We have a lot of little lizards by our house, and most of them are blue-tailed skinks and little blue-tailed lizards, and they get all upset and they'll drop their tail. And it's a lot of fun. We like to chase the little lizards, and we've seen them in the bathroom, in the bedroom, where else?
In the basement.
Lots of them in our basement.
Garbage can.
We got them in the garbage cans. We got them on our deck. We've got them everywhere. One time we kept one in a
Fishbowl.
fish bowl.
And he came back the next day. Yep.
Huh?
He came back the next
What did
day.
y'all name him?
I think it was Ronnie because he ran from us at church.
We didn't name him Runny, but we brought him from the church home. We did not name him Runny.
What did we name him? He was really fast. Fasty?
No.
Zooming.
Okay, no more talking. Silent. Silent. That actually kind of hurt. Okay, so we got little geckos, like the little gecko that's on the TV. He gets to be about 9 inches long. Let's see. Oh, this is really cool. Geckos can go upside down, even on slick surfaces. They can crawl the walls and go upside down. Then we have chameleons. Chameleons can change color. And the different stimuli that they have. I saw this one chameleon. It was in a lab, and they put it up against like different settings, like green, purple, blue, yellow, all this, and you could just watch it as it walked past those colors. It would pick up the colors. It was really cool. I saw that on YouTube, so it probably wasn't real, but it looked real and it was cool. The tongue of a chameleon could be longer than itself. It uses its tongue kind of like a blow dart. The end of its tongue is really thick and sticky. Hey, y'all know those little, the little gooey sticky hands that you like throw on the wall and it sticks? Well, that's kind of what it's like. So it takes the goopy part and it shoots it out of its body and grabs insects and pulls them in and eats it. The tongue accelerates in an astonishing 50 times the acceleration of gravity. So it's pretty cool. It goes really fast. Then you got what I grew up calling a horny toad. Well, it's a horned toad. I just come from really country people, and we called it a horny toad. So I know my people are weird. But it's not a frog or a toad. It's a lizard, and it's mostly found in the western United States. When it's afraid, it swells up and makes its spines on its body look really obvious, so that's why it's called a horned toad. In addition, it actually squirts blood through its eyes as it attacks her. Oh my gosh, I would freak out totally. If this big lizard with all of these like things, spikes shooting out of it, and then it starts shooting blood out of its eyes, I'm already thinking that there is something demon possessed coming at me. So then another lizard, not so small or harmless, is called a Gila monster. It's the largest lizard in the United States. It grows almost 2 feet. And although it's not as big as some other reptiles, this one's in the United States. The Gila monster is poisonous. I said Gila, and it's a Gila monster. It is the only poisonous lizard in the United States. Interestingly enough, a hormone in the venom of the Gila monster is currently being investigated for a possible treatment of diabetes. Okay, this is what I think is so cool about that. Where do they come up with this? Where do they come up with this stuff? I mean, what would make them think to look at the venom of a Gila monster and say, let's see if we can cure diabetes with that? That makes no sense to me at all. It's crazy. Okay, let's talk about some snakes. Snakes feed on rodents and insects, and those are things that tend to be a pain in the butt to humans. So you would think that we would really enjoy our snakes because they eat so much of the things that we don't like, but we don't like them either. We don't like snakes either. Snakes do not have legs. They scoot around on their bellies. They have got these little scales on their bellies that kind of help with their locomotion, and they're called scoots. It's SCUTES, but it sounds like SCOOT, which it kind of should be anyway, because that's how they scoot around, right? It gives them the ability to grasp the ground while the snake is crawling. Snakes are carnivorous. That means that they eat meaty stuff. They live on prey like rodents, insects, lizards, eggs, and even other snakes. I saw a video on YouTube, told you I watched too much stuff, of a snake eating a goat. It's for real. I saw it, and it was real. I've seen many snakes eat mice. You know, people buy mice. They're called feeder mice. Oh, and on that vet show that I've been watching, this lady, to save the feeder mice, goes in and buys them from the pet store. You know, people go to the pet store to buy feeder mice to feed their snakes. And she'd go buy them as pets. Ooh, little mice. And she takes them to the vet and stuff. She's a moron. So anyway, She crazy. She ain't got no husband. So she loves the mices. Okay. So, snakes are carnivorous, blah, blah, blah. They're very sharp-sighted. They can see really good, but they're deaf as doorknobs. So they have no ears, and they cannot hear at all. They can, however, sense vibration that travels through the ground. That's how they know that you're coming. It's not like they hear you rustling in the leaves. They feel the vibration of your foot hitting the ground, and the rustling of the leaves makes a vibration as well. They're drawn to regular ground vibration as they represent possible source of prey. So if you're moving around a lot in the woods, they're going to hear you moving around a lot in the woods, okay? Snakes have a very keen sense of smell. Oh, it says here they have poor eyesight. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, it says they're not sharp-sighted. Hi there, honey. Hang on just a second. I gotta clear my path. Today is Jaycee's birthday. Come here. Come here. You want to see some of my friends? Do you want to see my friends? Can you, this is my bag of candy my kids got me. Can you see my friends? Yes, I can. Look, this is Jaycee, and today is her birthday. She's 5 years old. Yes, she is. She's sweet, isn't she? Talk about things that'll eat your face off.
One of them.
Yep, she's one of those things that'll eat your face off.
And then I got her little.
The thing is, I'm sitting in what she thinks is her seat because I lay down so much. She cuddles up behind my legs and lays down with me. She's been taking really good care of me. Ain't you, big girl? Yes, she has. Can I have kisses? Are you my sweet girl? I kiss her. Yeah, she's a good baby. Okay, Mommy's gonna work. I got all kinds of crap around me today. I got my candy and books and my little girl.
Oh, Jesse Jr.
No. Okay, so I got my puppy dog. She's really helped me a lot. There for that first couple weeks, 3 weeks, girl didn't leave my side. She took care of me every day. She was very protective of me, so it was really sweet. She saw I was hurting and came to my rescue. Are you part of Paw Patrol and I never knew it? She is. She's the ferocious pup. Okay. Snakes do not see or hear. They don't see well and they don't hear at all. So they have a good sense of smell. To augment this smell and make it greater, they have these little sensory pits on the top of their head called Jacobson organs, and they're in their mouth. So, yeah, some dogs just can't get enough. They're just, she's a seeker of attention and kisses. She likes to kiss. When a snake sticks out their tongues, it collects chemicals suspended in the air. That's insane. When it pulls its tongue back in its mouth, transferring the collected chemicals to the Jacobson's organs, which send nerve signals to the brain correlates these signals with those coming from the nostrils, and the rest of the ones of the keenest sense of smell in creation. Crazy. Interestingly enough, a snake also uses its tongue and Jacobson's organs to sample the ground in order to taste the sense, the trail of the prey that it's tracking. That's pretty insane. Okay, what kind of snakes are there? There's constrictor snakes. Y'all ever heard of constriction snakes? They don't necessarily... I'm stretching out. I'm sorry. I don't feel so good today. I gotta get comfortable. Okay. There's constrictor snakes. Some snakes will bite and inject poisons, and these don't do that. They wrap around it and squeeze it really tight, crush its bones, burst its little heart, and then they can start chewing to get those things down. It was a constrictor snake that ate that goat. Google it. Let's see. Then there is pythons. Let's see. The python lives in tropical and subtropical climates, and the python species can grow up to 40 feet. No, thank you. Let's see. They've been known on rare occasions to constrict and eat humans. I knew it. Other species can be smaller. The ball python is often sold as a pet because it doesn't get more than 5 feet. Still, no thank you. Another popular pet is the boa constrictor. The book says only 10 feet or so. No thank you, Martha. Get that thing out of my face. Now, although poisonous snakes are the main reason that people are afraid of snakes, that's not the only reason I'm afraid of snakes. Because they're poisonous, they actually make up a small percentage of the snakes that are actually out there. That means that most snakes are not poisonous. They just do a good job by eating all the bugs. So there's two kinds of poisons with different snakes, okay? One is a neurotoxin. That is when a snake bites you, it injects you with neurotoxin and it paralyzes you. And it makes it slows your heart, it causes blindness, it causes your lungs to be paralyzed and for you to stop breathing, which, oh gosh, that's horrible, but it does it almost instantly. So that is what the neurotoxins do. Then there's hemotoxins. The term hemo means blood. So what happens here is it causes the blood vessels to constrict, and it damages the red blood blood cells and the blood vessels, destroying your circulation completely. They just explode. So without those red blood cells, you can't have oxygen. That's a bad, bad thing. Hemotoxins are much more dangerous than neurotoxins. Sometimes, even though the neurotoxins act quick, they don't shut your whole body down, okay? But the hemotoxins affects the blood that goes throughout your whole body. It takes a little bit longer for it to work, but it does happen. Okay. There's two kinds of poisonous snakes. First kind hits short, fixed fangs, and it allows the snake to chew its prey up. Those are mostly the ones that have neurotoxins. What it does is it paralyzes their prey, so that it'll be easier for them to eat it, chew it up and eat it, okay? But then you've got things like your sea snake, your coral snake, and your cobra that have the long, big fangs. And those long fangs put out those hemotoxins, and they're really, really dangerous. Cobras typically live in parts of Asia. Not going there. And they're best known for their hoods, right? Do y'all know what that hood is? It's like when you got a snake, and it's like this, right? And then the snake goes, it kind of spreads out. Its little throat spreads out. It does like that. I'm really good at that, by the way. Okay, so then the cobras have that little split back that makes them fan out. They suck flat here. It expands its hood as a warning. Some cobras, like the black-necked cobra, aim for their opponent's eyes, hoping to blind them because they spit. Those black-necked cobras will spit poisonous venom, and they aim for the eyes. So a lot of people who are training them wear those big old goggles to protect their eyes. Long-fanged poisonous snakes are commonly called vipers. And they're in Africa, Europe, and Asia. That's good too. Special kind in America are called pit vipers, and they have special means of detecting prey. In addition to their nostrils, pit vipers also have heat-sensing pits. These pits located between the nostrils and the eyes, like right here. Sometimes they look like little horns, coming out there. It allows the snake to sense warm-blooded creatures. That's the ones that can get around without having to hide. Even if there is no light with which to see them and no way to detect their smell, most pit vipers can hunt in total darkness because their heat-sensing pits give them an advantage in the dark. Note to self, do not go into the woods where the pit viper can detect that I have a temperature. Back. Next we got water moccasins and copperheads and rattlesnakes and western diamondbacks. Okay, water moccasins. They are also called cottonmouth snakes. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people in this area say, I saw me a water moccasin. I saw me a cottonmouth. However, they are not in East Tennessee. You'd have to go to Georgia, Louisiana, some of those states, southern states, but they're just not native to East Tennessee. You might see a random one here or there, but it's not around here. What we do have around here is some copperheads and some timber rattlers. You find both of them in the woods. Copperheads are really pretty copper-colored snake with a black stripe. Sometimes they're confusing with other snakes that kind of mimic the copperhead look, but if you see anything that color, you just stay away from it. Timber rattlers, they are going to let you know that they're there as you get close. So one of the biggest things when you go hiking in the mountains or out in the woods is to listen. Don't put your earbuds in. Take the earbuds out. Just be clear and present, because if you're near a timber rattler, he's going to let you know before you get close to him. And then when you hear that little rattle in his tail, you better listen and try to get direction of where he's at, because he's warning you, don't come near me. Okay? So he don't want to bite you. He just don't want you coming near him. Got it? All right, now let's talk about turtles and tortoises. Again, Nemo, I think about them little sea turtles and them talking like this dude. I thought that was great. Turtles and tortoises are found in the order Testudine. The term turtle refers to the members that are in the water, and tortoises means that they're on the land. So turtles live in watery areas, and Testudines. Tortoises live on the land. They can live in really dry places. So, let's see. Most members of this order have thick legs that end in 5 clawed toes, although some turtles have flippers instead. These animals do not have teeth. Instead, they have a tough beak. Okay. Hashtag true story. Me and we weren't married yet. My boyfriend, now my husband Patrick, were with his cousin and her boyfriend on his boat. We were out on Douglas Lake, and I love skiing. I love all that. And I had been skiing, and I was away from the boat, and I was swimming back into the boat. And Patrick was going, Brandy, come on in, come on in. He was kind of being forceful, and I thought, you jerk. So I took my time. So I was like, I'm going to show him. And his cousin, she freaks out over everything anyway. She was going, hurry, hurry. She was screaming and crying and acting like a goob. And Patrick was going, get here now. Come on, get here now. And then so I started picking up speed. Well, about the time that I got to the boat, she's screaming, hurry. And I turned around and looked behind me, and there was this big open mouth. I mean, open. You could see a tongue inside. A big open mouth, just about the size of my calf. I mean, it was so big, and it was getting ready to take my foot off. I mean, if it had got me in the water, it would have taken a body part off. There was a big old snapping turtle behind me, and its head was this big. It looked like a big snake, the way that its mouth was, and it had that big hook there. It could have got me like that. And every time I think about it, it makes my stomach hurt. And I don't need my stomach hurt right now. I've had enough of my stomach over the past several weeks. So, but man, It was massive. So yeah, don't think just because it's a little turtle that it's sweet and innocent and a little Franklin, because it ain't. It'll eat your face off or your foot or whatever. Turtles are not amphibians. They are reptiles. People often call them amphibians, but they're not. They're reptiles. You heard that from me. Okay. Most turtles and tortoises are pretty little, but a hawksbill turtle typically can weigh 270 pounds. That's more than a husband. And a giant tortoise is larger than the hawkbill and can weigh 500 pounds. And then there's the leatherback sea turtle that can weigh up to 1,500 pounds. And these things just don't live till like they're 2 or 3 or 4 years old. There's a turtle at the zoo that's over 250 years old. And I'm like, holy cow. What have they seen in turtle? They have seen the Civil War. They have seen, just think, I can't even think through history 200 years ago. It's a long time.
Have the scissors?
That's amazing, isn't it? I think it's really cool. Okay. Now let's talk about crocodiles. The difference between a crocodile and an alligator is an alligator has a long, broad snout. It kind of has a rounded edge at the end, but it's broad, and its teeth stick out in different directions, okay? JC, no bark.
No bark.
Every time I do a video, a dog finds something to bark at. So let's see, where was I? And the crocodiles have a long, slim mouth and snout, but their teeth are inside. Their teeth don't show. So, crocodiles have thinner, more pointed snouts.
How do you shoot?
Okay, I just got that completely backwards. I'm really good at that this year, aren't I? I am just jacking it up left and right. It's been a long year for me. Let's go back. Crocodiles have the teeth that stick out. Alligators, their mouths come together and their teeth are hidden on the inside. Please forgive me. Alligator, teeth inside, big, broad snout. Crocodiles, thin, pointy snout with their teeth showing. Got it? Good. Crocodiles can swim in the salty waters and reach lengths up to 30 feet and 3,000 pounds. Whew, that's a big old animal right there. They are really good predators. Their eyes and nostrils are placed high up on their head so that when they swim in the water, their eyes can stick up without you seeing their whole bodies. When a creature gets close enough, it soon finds out that it's made a mistake. And the crocodile or the alligator will just chomp down on top of it and drag it underwater. A lot of times you heard about an alligator roll. That's where they spin and spin and spin. And what they're doing is they're trying to break the bones of their prey. They're breaking the bones of their prey and they are drowning them so that they'll be easier to eat. Okay, let's see. Like most reptiles, members of this order lay eggs. They tend to lay their eggs and cover them in a mound of rotting vegetation. The heat generated by the decomposing, rotting vegetation warms the eggs up. It keeps them warm. This allows the mama to go do other things. Those eggs can be unattended, but once they hatch, they begin making peeping noise to tell their mama to come dig them up and get them out. Now, let's talk about dinosaurs. We could hardly leave a discussion on reptiles without mentioning dinosaurs. The term dinosaur means terrible lizard. So we can conclude that dinosaurs are considered part of class Reptilia because it says they're lizards. There's another problem that we face when trying to understand dinosaurs. Of the fossilized remains we do have, there is precious little. Remember from Module 9 that the vast majority of all fossils that we recover are mollusks. Those are, like shells from little fish. the models of, the dinosaur bones that you see in museums and things like that, they have found parts of the dinosaur bones, and then they build the rest of it to look like it all goes together. And some museums say these are the bones of a T-Rex, or this is the bones or of a brontosaurus. And when they say that, it's not 100% true, because they may have a bone from that thing, from that specific kind of animal, but not have the complete set. And that's where a lot of problems lie. Here are some different types of dinosaurs. Let's see. You've got the Apatosaurus, and let's see, you've got a Stegosaurus, and a Triceratops. I always liked the Triceratops. I thought they were really cool. On the next page, you've got a Tyrannosaurus, a Plesiosaurus, and a Pterodon. Now, next week, we're going to talk about what some of those things mean, some of those words mean, when we're discussing the Latin terms. And it's unbelievable. Really, it's so amazing how if you just knew a little bit of the Latin terminology, you would understand what kind of animal it is. So we're going to do that some next week. Let's see. Now, I'm going to look on here. I'm not going to start there today. On page, I would normally have moved on to class Aves, and that is on page 507. I had originally scheduled to stop at 509, but because that continues on with birds, I'm going to stop here. So in your reading, you're welcome to stop at 507 instead of 509. So here we go. This week's assignment is to read from page 495 to 507, where it goes to class Aves. Read everything about reptiles, okay? Stop before it gets to birds and do all of the on your owns up to that point. There's a lot. You're already at 1611 by the time you get to the first part of this reading section. Do not turn those in. Do not turn in your study guides yet. Everything will be due not the 15th, but 2 weeks after that. So what is that? 14, the 29th, no, March 1st. Everything will be due from this module on March 1st. Okay, so please don't send it in until, the last week that it's due. Got it? So March 1st or sometime in a few days before that. I want to give you plenty of time to read through it, get your work done. Okay, so your job this week is to read 495 through 507. Do those on your own. Start looking at the different kinds of reptiles. Work on your study, not the study guide, but the in-class study guide that I gave you. And then next week, you'll finish off that study guide and have a test. So I will see you back here on the 1st. That's weird. It just doesn't seem right, does it? Let me look at my little calendar here. The 22nd. There we go. I missed a whole week. I can't add. So this week you're going to do 495 to 507. Next week you're going to do 507 to 526. So your test will be due. All of your information will be turned in on March 1st. So next week we're going to come back here, do the second half of this. The second half is birds and mammals. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And maybe by that time I'll feel even a little bit better. Okay? So I'll see y'all really soon. I love and miss each of you. Bye.